The night was silent, but David's heart was loud. He walked down a narrow alley in the city, following the secret directions he had bought with his last few coins. The air smelled of smoke and oil. Rusted signs flickered above his head. Somewhere, in the dark, a hidden auction was waiting for him. David was not rich. He was a mechanic, a man who fixed broken machines for scraps. But tonight, he wanted something bigger. He had heard whispers an old spaceship would be sold in a secret auction. A ship meant freedom. A ship meant escape from the dusty planet. Where he had lived all his life, he reached a steel door with no handle. A red light scanned his face. For a moment, he thought he had come to the wrong place. Then the door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a crowded hall. Strange people filled the room, traders in long robes, soldiers with scarred faces, and even masked figures who hid their eyes. They all wanted something. They all had money, more than David could imagine. At the center stood a tall man in a silver coat, the auctioneer. His voice cut through the noise. "Welcome. Tonight we sell treasures not found in markets, weapons, machines, and even things beyond human law." The crowd cheered. David felt small, but his eyes searched the stage. He waited for the item he had come for. The auction began. A laser sword sold for thousands. A rare crystal went for even more. David's heart sank. How could he compete? But then, finally, the auctioneer raised his hand. "Lot number 17, he said with a sly smile. An ancient spaceship, one of a kind, found drifting near the dark edge of the galaxy. Two guards rolled back a curtain. Behind it stood a sleek black ship. 'Twas smaller than David imagined, but its design was strange, almost alive. The metal skin looked like it was breathing. The crowd grew restless. Some leaned forward, whispering. Others pulled away in fear. David noticed that. Why would some people look afraid of a ship? The auctioneer's voice rose. "Starting price 10,000 credits. The room went quiet. No one raised a hand. 5,000. The auctioneer tried again. Still silence. David blinked. Why was nobody bidding? This was a ship. Even broken, it could be repaired. The auctioneer's smile faded. 1,000 credits. A few murmurs spread, but still no one moved. The people avoided the ship with their eyes, like it carried a curse. David's palms were sweaty. A ship for 1,000. He could never dream of such a chance. He only had 900 saved from years of work. But maybe, just maybe, the auctioneer would accept less. His voice shook as he raised his hand. 900. The hall fell silent. Everyone stared at him as if he had said something insane. The auctioneer's smile returned, sharp and cold. 900. Do I hear more? No one spoke. No one wanted the ship. Sold. The auctioneer slammed his hammer. The ship belongs to the mechanic. David's heart raced. He could not believe it. He had just bought a spaceship. The crowd looked away, some with pity, some with hidden laughter. He did not care. He had one. Moments later, the guards led him through a back door. The ship waited. In a dark hangar. Up close, it looked even stranger. The surface was smooth, but when David touched it, it felt warm, almost like skin. He whispered to himself, "You're mine now, my way out." The hatch opened with a hiss. He stepped inside. The air was cool, but carried a faint, sweet smell, like flowers mixed with metal. The walls pulsed with soft blue light. He walked carefully through the narrow corridor. The control room was empty. No seats, no levers, no buttons, just smooth walls that curved around him. It didn't feel like a machine. It felt like the inside of something alive. David frowned. Strange, but I'll figure it out. He set his bag down and turned. That was when he heard it. A soft voice. "Why are you here?" David froze. He looked around. No one was there. The voice came again, gentle but echoing through the walls. "You should not be here." His chest tightened. He forced a laugh. "Who's there? Show yourself." From the corner of the room, shadows shifted. Slowly, a figure stepped out. A woman, tall and slender, her skin glowing faintly like moonlight. Her eyes burned with a strange silver light. David's mouth went dry. What are you?" She tilted her head, watching him carefully. "You bid for the ship." He nodded nervously. "Yes, it's mine now." Her lips curved in a faint smile. "Then you have made a mistake." Before David could move, the walls around him trembled. The floor vibrated under his feet. Outside, engines roared to life on their own. David's eyes widened. No, wait. I don't even know how to fly." "You." The woman stepped closer, her eyes glowing brighter. "You don't control the ship. I do." The hangar doors opened with a thunderous boom. The ship lifted, light flooding through the opening. David stumbled back, staring at her. Who are you?" Her voice was calm, almost sad. "I am the ship, and now you belong to me." The ship shot into the stars, leaving the world behind. The stars rushed past the window as the ship carried David into the dark unknown. He grabbed the wall for balance, heart pounding in his chest. He had never left the planet before. He'd never even dreamed of flying so fast. Yet here he was inside a ship that moved without his command. The glowing woman stood before him. Silent, her silver eyes fixed on him. She did not blink. She did not breathe like a normal human. She only watched. David swallowed hard. You said you are the ship? What does that mean?" The woman tilted her head, almost curious about his fear. "My name is Lyra. I was born in the stars, not on your world. This ship is my body, my home. We are one." David shook his head. "That's impossible. Ships are machines. They don't talk. They don't look like you." Her faint smile never changed. "Not all ships are machines. Some are alive. You thought you bought a tool, but you bought me." The words chilled him. Bought. The auctioneer's grin flashed in his memory. Had they known? Had they sold him a person, not a ship? He stepped back. "If you're alive, if you're a person, then why were you in the auction? Why didn't you escape?" Her eyes darkened, glowing sharper like blades. "Escape? You don't understand. They trapped me. My body was chained, my power sealed. I could not move until you stepped inside." David's mouth went dry. He wanted to leave, but the ship was already racing deep into space. "Then stop it. Take me back." Lyra's expression grew calm again. "I cannot. We have already been seen. If I turn back, they will follow. They will kill us both." "Who? David?" demanded. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Hunters." The word echoed in his mind like a curse. The floor pulsed beneath his feet, the walls glowing brighter as if alive. David realized Lyra was not lying. The ship obeyed her emotions. It moved as she willed. And right now, it was afraid. He clenched his fists. "I never asked for this. Jaw just wanted a ship to escape my life, not to be hunted." She stepped closer, and for the first time her glow softened, almost warm. "Then we are the same. You wanted freedom. I want the same. Our paths are joined now." David opened his mouth to argue, but suddenly alarms rang through the ship. The walls shivered, and a deep rumble shook the air. Lyra's silver eyes flashed. "They found us." David ran to the front window. In the distance, sharp lights pierced the black sky. Small ships, fast and armed, closing in on them. "Those are the hunters?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Yes," she said, her voice calm but tight. "They have chased me for many years. Now they chase you too." David felt his chest tighten. He was no soldier. He was no fighter. He was just a mechanic. He didn't even know how to fly, but Lyra did. He could see her focus, her body glowing brighter. And the ship responded, instantly shifting, speeding, twisting away from the enemy ships. Still, they followed. Blue fire streaked past the window. Kai's, a hunter's weapon, had missed them by inches. David ducked. "We're going to die." Lyra turned her glowing eyes on him. "Not if you trust me." Her words were calm, but the ship shook violently as another blast struck their side. Sparks flew across the walls like lightning. David's hands trembled. "Trust you? I don't even know what you are." She reached out her hand, her silver glow wrapping around her fingers. "If you want to live, touch me. Only then can I fight." "Them with all my strength." David stared at her hand. His mind screamed no. She was alien, dangerous, unknown. But outside, the hunters circled closer. Another blast rocked the ship, nearly throwing him off his feet. He had no choice. Slowly, he raised his hand and touched hers. The moment their skin met, a shock ran through his body. Light exploded around them. He gasped as visions filled his. Head stars collapsing, alien worlds burning, Lyra screaming as chains locked her body inside this ship. Then, suddenly, he felt the ship itself. He felt its heartbeat, its breath, its will. And he felt her inside him, guiding his thoughts, merging with his mind. "Do not fear." Her voice whispered inside his head now, no longer with sound, but with thought. "Together, we are stronger." The walls glowed brighter, the engines roared, and the ship leaped forward with impossible speed. The hunters fired again, but their weapons missed as Lyra twisted through an asteroid field, moving with inhuman grace. David's fear turned to awe. For the first time, he felt the ship's power. He was not just a passenger, it was part of it now. Through her, asteroids spun past like giant shadows. The hunters tried to follow, but one by one they crashed against the rocks, their ships exploding. In bursts of fire, David could hardly breathe. He looked at Lyra, still holding her hand. Her glow had grown brighter, her face calm but fierce. Finally, silence. The hunters were gone. The ship floated between the dead rocks of space. David sat on the cold floor of the strange ship, his hands still tingling from the touch of the alien woman. Her silver glow was softer now, but her presence pressed heavy on him. He could still feel her inside his mind, a whisper at the edge of his thoughts. He wanted to believe it was a dream, but the ache in his chest and the stars outside told him otherwise. He had bought a ship, yes, but instead he had bound himself to something living, something impossible. Lyra stood near the glowing wall, her eyes distant, her body almost still as stone. The ship hummed like a low heartbeat around them. David broke the silence first. "You said, we are bound. What does that mean?" Her head turned slowly toward him. "It means my life is tied to yours now. You touched my core, and the ship accepted you. If you die, I die. If I die, you die." David's breath caught, "So I'm trapped." Her silver eyes held no pity. "Yes." The words cut him like a blade. He wanted to scream, to curse, but what good would it do? He was already far from his planet, surrounded by cold black space. The hunters had been destroyed, but that only raised more questions. "Why are they chasing you?" he asked. Her voice was calm, but heavy with memory. "Because I am the last of my kind. My people built ships that lived, ships that thought. We flew freely among the stars, but others feared us. They called us monsters. They destroyed my people until only I remained. David stared at her glowing form. She looked human, but not quite. Too tall, too perfect, too still. So, what are you really, woman or machine? Her faint smile returned. Both and neither. I am Lyra. The answer only deepened the mystery. But before David could speak again, the ship shuddered. Violently. The walls dimmed, and a sharp pain stabbed his head. He groaned, clutching his temple. What's happening? Lyra's eyes flared. We moved too fast. The ship is weak from my imprisonment. My energy is fading. The lights flickered. Outside, the stars slowed. The ship drifted, silent and powerless. David's heart pounded. We're stranded. She nodded once. Unless we find a source of energy. But the hunters will return. They always return. Fear twisted his gut. He thought of the auctioneer's smile, the crowd's silence, the way no one had dared bid. They all knew. They knew the ship was cursed, and he had walked right into it. David pushed himself to his feet. So what do we do now? Just sit here and wait to die. For the first time, Lyra's voice trembled slightly. No, there is a way. But it will test you. He frowned. Test me how? Her silver eyes locked on him, glowing brighter. The ship responds to both of us now, but it does not yet trust you. You must learn to connect deeper, to guide it with me. If you fail, the ship will reject you, and it will kill you. David's stomach dropped. That's not much of a choice. She stepped closer, her presence filling the room. Survival is never a choice. It is a demand. Before he could protest, the ship's walls shifted. A hidden doorway opened, leading into a narrow corridor pulsing with blue light. Lyra gestured. Toward it. Come, the ship will show you its heart. Reluctantly, David followed. The corridor twisted like a living vein, warm beneath his hands as he brushed the walls. At the end was a chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. A massive crystal pulsed at the center. Suspended in the air, wrapped in veins of metal that throbbed like arteries. It radiated both beauty and danger. David stared. What is that? Core, Lyra said softly. The place where my soul and the ship's body meet. Touch it, and the bond will grow. Refuse, and the ship will wither. We both die. David's hands shook. He remembered the pain of their first contact, the visions that burned in his mind. Did he really want more of that? But then he thought. Of the hunters, of his planet, of the wasted years he had spent fixing broken machines for scraps. Maybe this was his only chance at something greater. He stepped closer. The crystal pulsed faster, almost as if sensing him. Do not fear, Lyra whispered. It wants you as much as I do. His chest tightened. That doesn't make me feel. Better still, he raised his hand and touched the glowing crystal. The world exploded. Light swallowed him whole. Burning his skin, flooding his mind. He saw stars collapsing, battles raging, screams in languages he didn't understand. He saw Lyra, chained, dragged, and forced into the auction like an object. He felt her loneliness, her rage, her endless silence. And then he saw himself. A mechanic, weak and ordinary, yet holding the power to free her. The vision snapped, and he collapsed to his knees, gasping. The chamber glowed brighter now. The ship hummed louder, alive again. Lyra stood over him, her silver eyes softer than before. You did not fail, she said. The ship accepts you fully. David looked up, sweat dripping down his face. I felt everything. Your pain. Your memories. Why did you show me that? Her voice was calm, but sad. Because you must understand me, if we are to survive together. The ship trembled, a warning rumble echoing through the walls. Lyra's glow hardened. They are coming again, she said. David forced himself up, his fear replaced by a strange fire in his chest. For the first time, he felt like the ship's heartbeat matched his own. Then let's fight, he said. Lyra's silver eyes glowed brighter, almost proud. Yes, together. Outside, the dark shapes of hunter ships appeared on the edge of the stars. The ship trembled like a living beast waking from sleep. David stood beside Lyra, his chest rising fast, his mind still burning from the visions of her past. Now the hunters were back, dark shapes cutting through the stars, their weapons glowing red. For the first time, David did not feel like a helpless passenger. He could feel the ship's pulse inside him, every vibration running through his veins. It was alive, and somehow it listened to him now. Lyra's silver eyes flashed. They will not stop. If they capture me, they will tear me apart piece by piece. If they capture you, they will make you watch. David clenched his fists. Then we don't let them. Her faint smile carried something new approval. Good. Then follow my lead. The hunters opened fire. Red beams slashed across the void. The ship twisted, moving so sharply that David nearly fell. But the strangest thing happened. He knew the movement before it happened. It was as if Lyra's thoughts ran through his own. He closed his eyes for a second, letting instinct guide him. His fear melted into focus. He raised his hand, and the ship swerved at his command, dodging another deadly beam. Lyra's glow brightened. Yes, you feel it now, David gasped. It's like the ship is part of me. Her voice softened, because it is. Another blast struck the side of the ship. The walls screamed with pain, the floor shuddering under them. David winced, the impact echoing through his body like a bruise. He realized the bond was deeper than he thought. When the ship was hurt, he was hurt too. We can't take many more hits, David said through gritted teeth. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Then we use the field. The field. She reached for him, taking his hand. The moment their skin touched, a surge of light wrapped around them both. David felt the ship's heartbeat race, the walls glowing bright blue. The hunters closed in, firing again and again. But then the ship dove into an asteroid belt, weaving through massive spinning rocks. David felt the danger in his bones. Each asteroid was larger than a city. One mistake, and they would be crushed. But Lyra's calm voice whispered in his mind. Trust me. He let go of fear. Together, they guided the ship like two hands, steering the same blade. Hunters followed, but their movements were clumsy. One slammed into an asteroid, exploding in fire. Another scraped too close and shattered to pieces. David almost laughed, the rush of victory filling his chest. We're beating them? Not. Yet, Lyra warned. Her glow dimmed slightly. The hunters are many, and I am still weak. As if to prove her words, a sudden blast slammed into their side. The ship shrieked in pain, lights flickering. David cried out, clutching his ribs as if struck himself. He fell to his knees. I can feel it. The damage, it hurts. Lyra knelt beside him, her silver eyes serious. That is the price of our bond. You are no longer separate from me. My wounds are your wounds. His vision blurred, but anger cut through the pain. Then we fight harder. She touched his forehead gently. You have a warrior's heart, even if you were only a mechanic. Her hand lingered, and for a brief moment, David felt warmth, not just the bond of survival, but something deeper. A connection that was not chosen by force, but growing by choice. Before he could speak, the ship jerked violently. A massive shadow fell across them. David's eyes widened. That's not a hunter ship. A colossal vessel loomed ahead, black as night, its surface bristling with weapons. The hunters had been only the teeth. This was the jaw. Lyra's glow flickered with fear. It is their warship. If it captures us, we will not escape. The giant ship fired, a beam of energy tearing through the asteroid field. Rocks shattered like glass, the shockwave slamming them off course. David and Lyra tumbled against the wall, the ship screaming in pain. David coughed, pushing himself up. "We can't fight that thing. It's too big." Lyra's eyes locked onto his. "Then we do what my people always did. We run into the storm." David frowned. "Storm?" She pointed to the dark horizon. A swirling cloud of blue lightning filled the space ahead, a living storm of energy. It looked deadly, a graveyard of broken ships drifting inside its furious glow. David's voice shook. "That's suicide." Her silver eyes burned. "It is survival. The hunters will not follow us into it. They fear what they cannot control." The warship's weapons charged again, light swelling at its core. David's heart pounded. The storm howled outside, a sea of blue lightning tearing across the black void. Inside the ship, silence spread. The lights flickered once, then dimmed until only a faint pulse remained in the walls. David staggered, clutching his chest. The bond made him feel every shiver of the dying vessel. It was like the ship's heartbeat was slowing inside his own ribs. "Lyra," he gasped. "What's happening?" She stood in the dim glow, her silver eyes weaker than before. "The storm drained us. The ship's core is fading. If we cannot recover power soon, we will both be lost." Her words chilled him, but something else pressed on David's mind. Since touching the core, he had felt more than just her presence. He had felt secret stark things, buried deep inside the ship. And now, as the walls flickered, he saw shapes. Shadows moving where no one walked. He blinked, thinking it was his imagination. But the shadows remained. "What is that?" he whispered. Lyra turned sharply. For the first time, her voice carried unease. "You see them?" David frowned. "See what?" "The echoes," she said softly. "Memories of those who came before you." Her words made his skin crawl. The walls pulsed again, and suddenly the corridor ahead opened with a hiss. A doorway appeared where before there had been none. The air that drifted out was colder, carrying a strange metallic smell mixed with something rotten. David's heart pounded. "What's in there?" "Lyra's silver glow dimmed further. A place you are not meant to go." That only made his curiosity burn hotter. He stepped toward the door. "David," Lyra warned, her voice sharp, but he ignored her. The chamber inside was vast, stretching beyond the glow of the walls. Strange shapes hung in the air pods like glass coffins lined in rows. Each pod held something. Some looked like broken bodies, twisted alien forms half fused with metal. Others were empty but stained with dark marks. David's stomach turned. What is this place?" Lyra stood in the doorway, her silver eyes unreadable. "The ship remembers us. These are the remains of those who tried to bond before you." The horror sank into him. "You mean other people?" She nodded slowly. "Not all were human. Some were taken from other worlds. None survived." David backed away from the pods. "You said I was chosen. You said I was different. But you never told me about this." Her face softened, but her words were firm. "Would you have touched my hand if I had?" He clenched his jaw. "So you lied to me?" "I gave you truth enough," she replied quietly. "You live where others died. That is all that matters now." David turned away, anger twisting inside him. The pods glowed faintly, and for a moment he swore one of the broken forms moved. He stumbled back, heart racing. Then he heard it a whisper, faint, not in his ears but in his mind. "Help us." He froze. "Did you hear that?" Lyra's voice grew sharp. "Do not listen." The whisper came again, louder this time. "Free us." David clutched his head. They're speaking to me." Lyra stepped forward, her glow flaring. "They are not real. They are fragments, echoes left in the ship. If you listen too long, you will lose yourself." But David could not pull away. The voices swirled in his mind, countless and desperate. They showed him flashes, men and women screaming inside the pods, their bodies twisting, their souls breaking. He dropped to his knees. Why are they trapped here?" Lyra's voice was quiet, almost sorrowful. "Because they failed, and the ship does not forget failure." The walls pulsed brighter, the chamber shaking. The pods rattled as if something inside wanted to break free. David scrambled back, his fear rising to panic. "We have to get out of here," he shouted. Lyra reached for him, pulling him out of the chamber. The doorway sealed behind them with a heavy thud. The whispers faded, but David's hands still trembled. He glared at her. "You kept this from me. You said I was bound to you, but you didn't say it was a prison filled with the dead." Her silver eyes softened. "I kept it from you because I needed you alive. And if you fear me now, then I was right to hide it." David's anger boiled, but before he could reply, the ship shook violently. The storm outside cracked open, and through the glowing clouds, a dark shape emerged. Hunters, back again. Their ships swarmed like vultures, weapons glowing. But this time, they did not fire. They launched grappling beams that wrapped around the vessel, dragging it toward the warship's waiting jaws. David's blood ran cold. "They're pulling us in." Lyra's glow hardened. "They have boarded us before. They will board us again." The ship groaned as the hunter's beams tightened. Lights flickered. The walls bled sparks. David felt the pain tear through his body like knives. He gasped, falling against the wall. I can feel them ripping you apart." Lyra knelt beside him, her voice calm even as the ship screamed. "Then you know we must fight, no matter what it costs." Outside, the hunters prepared to breach the hull. Inside, the whispers of the dead still echoed in David's mind. The ship groaned as the hunter's beams dragged it closer to the massive warship. Sparks burst across the walls, and David felt every rip like knives against his skin. He gasped for breath, clutching his chest. "Lyra," he whispered, "they're killing us." Her silver eyes glowed with fierce calm. "No, not yet. They will not destroy us. They want me alive. They will come inside, and then you must choose." David frowned, his voice rough. "Choose what?" Her answer was quiet, almost sad. "To fight with me, or to abandon me." Before he could reply, the ship shuddered violently. With a sharp hiss, the outer hull tore open, and shadows poured in. The hunters had boarded. Dark figures in black armor marched down the corridor, their weapons glowing red. Their helmets hid their faces, but their voices echoed cold through the ship. "Stand aside, human," one commanded. "That creature is ours. She is not your bride, not your partner. She is our weapon." David's heart hammered. He had no gun, no armor, only his bare hands and the tools in his bag. His gaze flicked to Lyra. She stood tall, glowing, but her light was weak. The storm and the battle had drained her. The hunters spread out, raising their weapons. The leader stepped forward, pointing straight at Lyra. "You belong to us. Surrender, or we will tear this man apart piece by piece." David froze. His body screamed to run, to hide, to give up. But the whispers in his mind returned, the voices of the Dead, calling from the sealed chamber, she lied to you. She trapped us here. She will trap you too. Free yourself. Kill her before it is too late. He stumbled back, pressing his hands to his head. The voices were louder now, feeding on his fear. Lyra's voice cut through them. David, look at me. He lifted his eyes to hers. Her silver glow flickered. Not strong, not perfect, just tired. For the first time, she looked almost human. Do not listen to the echoes, she said softly. They died because they were not strong enough. You are? You can choose. The hunters closed in. One shoved David against the wall, pressing a blade of red light to his throat. You are nothing, mechanic. Step aside, and you live. David's breath came fast. His mind screamed with the voices of the dead, but his heart pounded with the bond he felt with Lyra. He had seen her pain, her loneliness. She was not only a weapon, she was alive. Something inside him snapped. With a roar, David swung his bag at the hunter's helmet. The heavy tool inside cracked against the metal, and the hunter stumbled. David grabbed the weapon from his hands and fired wildly down the corridor. Red beams tore through the shadows. The ship came alive with his rage. Lights flared, walls pulsed, and the floor itself shifted under the hunter's feet, throwing them off balance. David felt that Lyra was giving him her strength. Fight with me, Lyra's voice rang out, both in the air and inside his mind. David charged forward. He struck one hunter with the stolen weapon, then another with a wrench from his bag. Sparks flew as the ship itself sealed doors, trapping enemies in tight halls. But the hunters were many. They swarmed, their weapons slicing through the air. One beam grazed David's arm, searing his flesh. Cried out, dropping to one knee. The leader stepped over him, raising his blade. Pathetic. You are just another fool who touched her and thought you mattered. Before the blade could fall, a burst of silver light struck the hunter, throwing him back. Lyra stood, her glow blazing brighter. Her voice thundered through the ship. He is not like the others. He is mine. The hunters staggered, shielding their eyes from her light. David forced himself up, his pain forgotten in the heat of her power. Together, they pushed back his human strength and her alien will, weaving as one. Finally, the corridor fell silent. The last hunter collapsed, his armor sparking. The others retreated, their boots echoing as they fled toward the warship. David dropped the weapon, his chest heaving. Sweat dripped down his face, his arm throbbed with pain. But he was alive? Lyra stepped close, her glow dimming again now that the danger had passed. She placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm. You chose, she whispered. He looked at her, still trembling. I didn't have a choice. If I left you, I'd be one of them. Her silver eyes softened. No, David, you chose me. That makes you different. For a moment, silence filled the ship. The bond between them pulsed stronger, deeper than before. He realized he no longer saw her as just an alien or a ship. She was something more. But then an alarm screamed through the vessel. The ship shuddered violently, throwing them against the wall. David staggered. What now? Lyra's eyes widened. The hunters planted a device. If it is not destroyed, I will vanish, and so will our bond. David's blood turned cold. A device? Where? Her voice was urgent. The alarm screamed through the ship, a shrill cry that shook every wall. David clutched his chest, feeling the pain of the vessel tearing inside him. Lyra's silver glow flickered as if she was fading. They placed the device in my core, she said, her voice sharp but trembling. If you do not stop it, I will vanish, and you will vanish with me. David's heart raced. The thought of losing her, after all the battles, all the pain, all the truth they had shared, filled him with fire. "Then tell me how to stop it," he demanded. Her silver eyes locked on his. "You must enter the chamber again. But the echoes will fight you. They will show you lies, twist your mind, make you doubt me. If you believe them, the bond will break." David swallowed hard. He remembered the voices from before she trapped us. "She is a monster. Free yourself." His skin crawled at the memory, but he nodded. "Then I'll fight them too." The corridor shifted, opening to the glowing chamber of the core. The crystal pulsed faintly, veins of metal wrapped around it like chains. At its base, a black device crawled with red light, digging into the ship's living flesh. David's jaw tightened. That's it. He ran forward, but the moment he stepped inside, the whispers returned. "You are a fool. She is using you. She will betray you as she betrayed us." He stumbled, clutching his head. The voices grew louder, overlapping, clawing at his mind. He saw visions. Lyra standing over dead bodies, her hands dripping with blood. Lyra laughing as the pods filled with screaming victims. David gasped. No, that's not real." The whispers hissed. "It is real. You saw the pods." She lied. She always lies. His knees buckled. The voices tore at him, showing endless shadows of betrayal. His heart wavered. Then another voice broke through. Not sharp, not cruel, but soft. Lyra's voice, trembling. "David, listen to me. What you see is not truth. It is fear. You know me. You have felt my pain. Trust what you felt." He forced his eyes open. She stood at the doorway, her glow faint, almost gone. But her silver eyes met his, steady and human. He remembered the moment she reached for his hand in the asteroid field. The warmth of her touch when she called him different. The way she had fought beside him, even when she was weak. David clenched his teeth. "No, you're not a monster. You're mine." The whispers screamed in rage, but he pushed forward. He tore the black device from the core, its red wires sparking. Energy burst through the chamber, searing his skin, but he held on, ripping it free with every ounce of strength. The device exploded in his hands, shards of fire scattering into the air. The crystal flared, glowing so bright it blinded him. He fell to the ground, coughing, his body shaking, but the whispers were gone. Only silence remained. When he opened his eyes, Lyra stood over him. Her glow had returned, brighter than ever, silver light wrapping around her like wings. She knelt beside him, her hand gentle on his cheek. "You saved me," she whispered. David gave a weak smile. "We saved each other." The core pulsed stronger, the ship alive again. The hunters. Beams outside snapped and broke. The warship tried to hold them, but the vessel surged forward, tearing free. Engines roared like thunder as they escaped the storm. The stars opened wide ahead, endless and shining. David leaned against the wall, exhausted. "So, what now? Do we just keep running?" Lyra looked at him with eyes that were no longer only alien. They were something more, something human. "We run. We fight. We live. And now, we live together." Her glow softened. She took his hand and pressed it gently to her chest. "You are my partner, my chosen, my bride." David's heart skipped. "Bride? That's not what I signed up for." Her faint smile curved. "And yet, it is what you won." For a moment, silence filled the ship. But it was not an empty silence. It was warm, alive. The bond between them pulsed stronger. No longer just survival, but something deeper. Then warning lights flashed across the window. David staggered to his feet. Not again. On the edge of the stars, massive shadows moved ships larger. Then the hunters. their dark halls glowing with symbols David had never seen before. A fleet, waiting, watching. Lyra's glow dimmed, her face turning serious. They are not hunters. They are worse. David's chest tightened. Then, who are they? Her eyes burned silver, fierce and unbroken. The ones who destroyed my people, and now they have found us. The fleet shifted, weapons glowing as the stars lit up like fire.